The stars shone bright and cold against the darkness of space. The research vessel Celestial Horizon drifted silently toward an unremarkable yellow star. Commander Vexitora stood on the bridge, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence as she studied the holographic display. "Standard life scan of the 3rd planet," she ordered, her voice a musical chime. "Though I doubt we'll find anything interesting in this system." Science Officer Zilnara bobbed her head in agreement. "This sector has been mostly barren, Commander. Preliminary scans show the 3rd planet has extreme conditions: high gravity, caustic oxygen atmosphere, and violent weather patterns. Class 13 Deathworld by all measurements." Vexitora fluttered her wing membranes in a gesture of boredom. After 200 years of exploration for the Galactic Confederation, she had seen thousands of lifeless worlds. The ship's mission was simply to catalog and move on. "Running full-spectrum analysis now," Zilnara said, her slender fingers dancing across the control panel. An alarm suddenly blared through the bridge. Red lights flashed as the ship's artificial intelligence announced, "Warning. Artificial signals detected. Technological civilization present." Vexitora nearly fell from her perch. "Impossible! Check your equipment." Zilnara frantically recalibrated the sensors. "Readings confirmed, Commander. Radio waves, satellite networks, artificial structures. The planet is inhabited by a technological species. But nothing could evolve to intelligence on a Class 13. Deathworld," Vexitora whispered. "Nothing." Jack Miller yawned as he adjusted his headphones. The night shift at the Alaska listening station was usually quiet. At 32, he had spent 10 years monitoring deep space signals for NASA, and most nights passed with nothing but cosmic background noise. He took a sip of coffee as the computer flagged an unusual pattern. Probably another satellite glitch, he thought. But as he examined the waveform, his heart began to race. "Susan," he called to his colleague in the next room. "Susan, you need to see this." Susan Ward hurried in, her red hair falling loose from its bun. "What is it?" "I'm in the middle of cataloging the new exoplanet data." Jack pointed at his screen. "This signal, it's structured, repeating mathematical sequences, and it's coming from just beyond lunar orbit." Susan's eyes widened as she leaned inward. "That's not one of ours. It's not Russian, Chinese, or European either." "I already checked," Jack said, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Whatever sent this, it's not from Earth." Susan reached for the secure phone on the wall. "I'm calling Washington, right now." Within 6 hours, every major government on Earth was in emergency sessions. Military forces went on high alert. Stock markets were shut down to prevent panic. And in a secure conference room beneath the Pentagon, Jack and Susan sat at a long table surrounded by generals, scientists, and intelligence officials. "Play the message again," ordered General Frank Harris, his face grim under the harsh fluorescent lights. Jack pressed a button on his laptop. A series of tones filled the room, followed by mathematical sequences in what sounded like speech but in no human language. "Our best linguists and computers are working on it," said Patricia Moore, the NASA director. "We believe it's a greeting and request for communication." "Or a warning," muttered the Secretary of Defense. "Either way," Patricia continued, "they know we're here. The signal came from a vessel of unknown design currently holding position on the far side of the moon." Susan cleared her throat nervously. "We've sent a simple mathematical response as recommended by the SETI protocols. They answered immediately with more complex patterns, confirming its deliberate communication." General Harris looked around. The table. "Recommendations? We establish a direct communication link," Patricia said firmly. "Show we're peaceful, but capable." "And if they're not peaceful?" the Defense Secretary asked. Patricia looked grim. "Then God help us, because their technology is centuries beyond ours." On the celestial horizon, Commander Vexitora called an emergency meeting of her senior staff. "The situation is unprecedented," she began. "In all recorded history, the Confederation has never encountered intelligent life on a Class 13 world. These creatures must be extraordinarily resilient." Chief Medical Officer Trelmock displayed a hologram of Earth. "The planet's conditions are lethal by our standards. Surface gravity nearly twice Confederation average. Oxygen levels that would cause toxic reactions in most species. Temperature variations of over 50 degrees in a single planetary rotation. Constant radiation from their star. And the atmospheric pressure? He shuddered visibly. Yet they survive, Zilnara said with wonder. And they've built cities, look. She expanded the hologram to show Earth's continents dotted with sprawling urban centers. Security Chief Grextal, a member of the warrior Vorkathian species, growled low in his throat. Anything evolving in such conditions would be incredibly dangerous. Their physical strength alone would be devastating. I recommend extreme caution. They've responded to our signals, Communications Officer Peldara noted. Simple mathematics. They're trying to establish contact. Vexatora considered this information. Prepare a first contact package. Visual only for now. I want to see what these creatures look like. When the first alien images arrived at the NASA Communications Center, Jack and Susan were among the first humans to see members of the Galactic Confederation. Jack struggled for words. Beautiful, Susan finished. The aliens resembled a cross between insects and birds with delicate limbs, iridescent exoskeletons and wing-like membranes. Their faces featured multiple eyes and speaking organs unlike anything on Earth. The images were followed by more mathematical sequences, then simple pictograms showing their ship, solar system maps, and what appeared to be a greeting. They want to talk, Susan said excitedly. They're scientists, explorers. A new transmission began streaming in. The aliens had sent footage of their ship's interior. Jack and Susan watched in fascination as the camera moved through weightless corridors, filled with strange technology and more alien species of different shapes and sizes. Multiple species working together, Susan whispered. An actual galactic community. Then the aliens requested Earth footage in return. NASA quickly assembled videos of Earth's landscapes, cities, and people going about daily life. The response was sent within hours. On the celestial horizon, chaos erupted when Earth's transmission played on the main screen. By the first worlds, Zilnara gasped. They move about on the planet's surface without protection suits. The bridge crew watched in horror as humans walked under open sky, swam in oceans, and climbed mountains with minimal gear. Look at their physical structure, Trelmach said, freezing the image on a group of humans at a park. Dense muscle mass, endoskeletal system. And they appear to use their planet's crushing gravity to their advantage, Grexatal snarled. They're apex predators. Look at their forward-facing eyes and exposed teeth. Classic hunter configuration. More footage showed humans eating various foods, exercising, and building structures. Their civilization appears peaceful. Internally, Vextora noted. But they've evolved in an environment that would kill any of us in minutes. What kind of psychology would that create? The final images showed humans extending hands toward the camera in greeting. They wish to meet, Peldara said. These Deathworlders want direct contact. Commander Vexatora looked around at her frightened crew, then back at the frozen image of smiling humans. Prepare a response, she said finally. Tell them we accept. The Galactic Confederation will meet with Earth. The moon's surface stretched out in all directions, gray and dusty under the stars. A temporary structure had been built at the meeting site, a dome with separate atmospheric chambers for both species. Earth's small shuttle sat on one side of the dome. The much larger alien vessel hovered silently on the other. Inside the human section of the dome, Dr. Alan Brooks adjusted his spacesuit one last time. The physicist ran through mental calculations to stay calm. Next to him, Captain Lisa Taylor checked the seals on her helmet. The Air Force pilot had flown the shuttle to the moon with steady hands despite the historic pressure of the mission. Remember, said Paul Green from the State Department, we represent all of humanity now. His diplomatic training had not prepared him for aliens, but he was the best Earth had. I still can't believe this is happening, Lisa said, looking through the clear wall that separated their chamber from the alien side. First contact on the moon. Alan nodded. They insisted on meeting here rather than Earth. Our gravity and atmosphere are apparently dangerous to them. That should give us some advantage in negotiations, Paul noted, straightening his back. If they find our world so hostile, they won't want to invade it. A light flashed above the central door. The aliens had arrived. Science Officer Zilnara nervously checked her environmental suit for the 5th time. The bulky outfit made her elegant form look monstrous, but it was necessary. Even the artificial atmosphere in their chamber contained trace oxygen levels that could damage her respiratory system. Remember the danger protocols, Security Chief Grextal growled to the diplomatic team. His suit was reinforced with extra layers of protection. These creatures evolved on a Deathworld. They could snap your limbs without effort. The humans have shown no hostility, Zilnara countered. Their messages have been consistently peaceful. Predators are often patient, Grextal said darkly. Commander Vex Taurus silenced them with a gesture. We represent the Galactic Confederation. We will proceed with scientific curiosity and appropriate caution. She moved toward the central chamber that would allow both species to see each other through transparent walls. Begin atmospheric adjustments, she ordered. The inner doors slid, open on both sides. The humans watched as 3 aliens entered their viewing chamber. The creatures moved gracefully despite their bulky suits. Their features were mostly hidden behind protective masks, but multiple eyes blinked visibly behind clear panels. In the central room, translation devices had been set up by both sides. Commander Vextora stepped forward first. Greetings, creatures of Earth. Her words came through the translator in a flat, mechanical voice. We represent the Galactic Confederation, a community of 342 spacefaring species. Paul stepped forward for the humans. We bring greetings from Earth. We are called humans. We come in peace and friendship. As Paul raised his hand in a wave, Grexatal flinched visibly and moved a hand to his side, where a weapon was holstered. Alan noticed the reaction. Your colleague seems concerned by our gestures. Please understand that raising a hand like this is a peaceful greeting for our species. Vexitora's wings fluttered inside her suit. You must forgive our caution. Your world is classified as a Class 13 death world in our systems. The conditions you consider normal would kill most Confederation species within minutes. Your physical capabilities are concerning. Lisa frowned. You're afraid of us? Zilnara stepped forward. We are cautious. Our scans show your species can endure radiation levels that would kill us. Your muscles developed in high gravity make you exceptionally strong by our standards. You breathe oxygen concentrations that would be toxic to us, and your ability to endure temperature variations is remarkable. We're just people, Alan said, spreading his hands. Normal humans living normal lives on the only world we've known. Grexatal made a sound that the translator didn't catch. He addressed his commander. Ask them about their weapons capabilities. Paul's diplomatic training kicked in. We have weapons, yes, but we haven't brought any to this meeting. We wish only peaceful exchange of knowledge and culture. Perhaps a demonstration would ease tensions, Lisa suggested. Would you like to see some basic human movements? To show we mean no harm? Before the aliens could answer, Lisa removed her helmet. The aliens recoiled in shock. You expose yourself to this environment? Zilnara gasped. The dome is pressurized, Lisa explained. It's safe for us. She then performed a series of simple exercises, jumping jacks, push-ups, and a handstand. The aliens watched in stunned silence. By the first worlds, whispered Vexitora. The strength-to-mass ratio is extraordinary. Grexatal's hand hadn't moved from his weapon. They are displaying their physical superiority, a classic intimidation tactic. No, Lisa said, landing gracefully from her handstand. This is just normal human fitness, nothing special. The meeting continued with careful exchanges of basic scientific knowledge. The humans brought samples of Earth materials, wood, cotton, metal alloys. The aliens shared images of Confederation worlds and species. During a brief recess, Paul pulled out a small container. I brought some Earth food in case you wanted to analyze it. This is just fruit. An apple. He took out a pocket knife to slice it. The sharp blade glinted under the lights. Grextal bellowed something the translator rendered as weapon, and drew his own device. The other aliens backed away in alarm. "No." Paul held up his hands. "It's just for cutting food, see?" He quickly cut a slice of apple and ate it. The tension in the room remained high. Vextora's wings fluttered rapidly inside her suit, a sign of distress. "Perhaps we should conclude for today," she said finally. "There is much for both sides to process." Alan stepped forward. "We apologize for any misunderstandings. Human culture and biology are clearly very different from yours, but we genuinely seek peaceful contact." "As do we," Vextora replied, though Grextal's posture suggested otherwise. "We will withdraw to our vessel and continue communications remotely for now." As the aliens prepared to leave, Zilnara approached the dividing wall. "Despite the challenges, meeting your species is the most significant scientific event in my lifetime. There is much we could learn from each other." Lisa nodded. "We feel the same way." Back aboard the Celestial Horizon, the diplomatic team removed their environmental suits in the decontamination chamber. "Those creatures are walking weapons," Grextal insisted. "Did you see how easily the female lifted her entire body weight? In lunar gravity, yes, but still impressive for a being with such dense mass." "I saw curiosity and caution much like our own," Zilnara countered. "They seem genuinely surprised that we find them intimidating." Commander Vextora settled the debate. "They are dangerous by their nature, not necessarily by intent. Their evolution on a Deathworld has made them physically formidable, but their civilization shows signs of cooperation and peace." She looked out the viewport at the blue Earth hanging in the blackness. "The Confederation Council must be informed, immediately. This discovery changes everything we thought we knew about life's possibilities, and we must decide, do we welcome these Deathworlders into galactic society, or do we contain them for the safety of all?" Trelmach, who had been analyzing the data, looked up from his console. "There's something else you should know, Commander. Our preliminary scans indicate humans may be among the least dangerous species on their planet. Their world contains organisms, far more resilient and deadly than they are." The control room fell silent as the implications set in. 2 weeks after the moon meeting, the Galactic Confederation extended a formal invitation. They wanted a small human team to visit their nearest outpost, a massive space station orbiting Proxima Centauri. The journey would take 3 weeks using Confederation technology, which was far faster than anything humans had developed. In a large conference room at NASA headquarters, the final team was selected. Dr. Kevin Hughes adjusted his glasses as he reviewed the medical requirements again. At 45, the doctor had spent his career studying how humans adapt to extreme environments. "I still can't believe I was chosen," said Maria Rodriguez, a cultural anthropologist who sat beside him. Her expertise in first contact situations came from working with isolated human tribes, not aliens, but the principles were similar. Across the table, Steve Bennett remained silent. The military strategist was there to quietly assess any potential threats. He wore civilian clothes, but his military bearing was unmistakable. "Does anyone understand what they're saying?" Olivia Collins asked, pointing to the tablet that displayed the latest alien communication. The linguist had made remarkable progress with the alien language despite its completely non-human structure. "They're concerned about our environmental needs," Kevin said. "They've designed a special ship for us with Earth-like conditions, but they seem genuinely worried about keeping us alive during the journey." Maria laughed softly. "It's ironic. They think we're the dangerous ones, but they're terrified we might die from some minor environmental variation." General Harris entered the room with a serious expression. "The President has given final approval. You leave tomorrow. Remember, you represent not just the United States, but all of humanity." "No pressure," Olivia muttered. The human transport vessel was unlike anything built on Earth. It was a sphere within a sphere. The inner chamber maintained Earth conditions, while the outer ship operated in parameters safe for the aliens. Kevin examined the environmental controls with fascination. "The air mixture is exactly like Earth's. They've even included trace gases we don't strictly need." "Look at these sleeping quarters," Maria called from another compartment. "The beds are reinforced to handle our body weight in artificial gravity." Steve ran his hand along a wall. This material could probably withstand a missile strike. They've built this ship like a tank. Olivia was focused on the communication system. They've loaded their language database into our computers. And I think... She pressed several buttons and alien script appeared on the screen. Yes, I can send messages directly to their crew. A musical tone sounded throughout the ship, and a holographic image of Commander Vex's Torah appeared in the main compartment. Greetings, humans. The translation system rendered her speech in English. We are preparing for departure. The journey will take 23 of your days. Please inform us immediately if any aspect of your environment becomes uncomfortable. We appreciate your attention to our needs, Kevin replied. We're looking forward to learning more about the Confederation. Vex Torah's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. We are equally curious about your species. Though I must warn you, many Confederation members have never encountered Deathworld life forms before. You may find yourselves objects of significant interest. The journey passed without major incidents. The humans settled into a routine, studying Confederation data and adapting to life in space. Meanwhile, word spread throughout the Confederation about the Deathworlders being brought to Proxima Station. When they finally arrived, the humans were amazed by the scale of the space station. It was like a small moon, with sections rotating at different speeds to create varying gravity environments. Look at the size of this place, Steve whispered as they prepared to disembark. There must be millions of beings living here. Their reception area was packed with aliens of different species, all keeping a safe distance behind transparent barriers. Security officers from Grextal's species stood guard, their posture tense. They're treating us like we're both celebrities and dangerous animals, Maria observed. An alien official stepped forward, a tall, willowy being with pale blue skin. Welcome to Proxima Station. I am Station Director Loon Val. We have prepared special quarters for you in our research section. As the humans followed Loon Val through the station, they noticed other aliens watching from doorways and viewports. Some moved away quickly as they passed. They're afraid of us, Olivia said quietly. With good reason by their standards, Kevin replied. Remember, most of these species evolved on worlds with much lower gravity, radiation, and oxygen. What's normal for us is extreme for them. Their quarters were spacious but clearly designed with security in mind. The walls were reinforced, and all systems had multiple redundancies. We have arranged a series of cultural exchanges, Loonval explained. Many scientific teams wish to observe you and learn about Earth. Maria stepped forward. We're happy to share our culture and knowledge, but we would also like to learn about Confederation species and worlds. Loonval's skin changed color slightly, perhaps their version of a blush. Of course, there will be mutual exchange, but first, there is significant interest in your physical capabilities. Steve frowned. You want us to perform for you? For science, Loonval clarified. Your biology is unlike anything in our records. A demonstration would advance our understanding. The humans exchanged glances. Finally, Kevin nodded. We'll demonstrate basic human capabilities. In return, we'd like information about Confederation biology and history. The next day, the humans were brought to a large chamber. Hundreds of aliens watched from behind protective screens. Scientific equipment lined the walls. The first demonstration was simple. Kevin lifted a weight that the aliens had prepared, about 100 pounds. This mass would crush most of our species, the announcer explained to the watching crowd. The human lifts it using only natural muscle strength. Next, Olivia ran on a treadmill at a moderate pace. The aliens murmured in amazement as she maintained her speed for 10 minutes without signs of fatigue. The sustained cardiovascular capacity is extraordinary, a scientist noted, and observed the efficient cooling system through perspiration. Maria demonstrated human flexibility with basic yoga poses. The crowd gasped when she touched her toes, apparently a feat impossible for many alien physiologies. Finally, Steve was asked to show human reflexes. He caught small objects thrown at him and performed simple self-defense movements. Note the response time, the scientific announcer said. Faster than 90% of known species. After the demonstrations, the humans were allowed to ask questions of their own. Olivia, who had been studying the alien language intensively, spoke directly to the scientists. "We understand that your species find our world dangerous. What are conditions like on your homeworlds?" The lead scientist, a being named Real Talk, seemed pleased by the question. "Most Confederation species evolved on worlds with approximately half of Earth's gravity, oxygen levels below 15%, stable temperatures within a 10-degree range, minimal radiation, predictable weather patterns." "Paradise worlds," Kevin commented. "Normal worlds," Real Talk corrected. "Your Earth is the outlier, a death world that somehow produced intelligent life." Maria asked another question. "Have you encountered other species from planets like ours?" A sudden silence fell over the room. The scientists looked at each other uncomfortably. "There have been other cases," Real Talk said finally. "They are rare." "And what happened to them?" Steve asked sharply, noticing the tension. Before Real Talk could answer, Loonval intervened. "That is enough questions for today. The humans must rest. We will continue cultural exchange tomorrow." As they were escorted back to their quarters, Steve hung back to walk beside Olivia. "Did you notice how they avoided answering that last question?" he whispered. Olivia nodded. "Something about other Deathworld species makes them uncomfortable. I think we need to find out why." She glanced at a nearby information terminal. "And I think I know how to do it." That night, after the others had gone to sleep, Olivia sat at the terminal in her room. She had been studying the alien language for weeks and had discovered something interesting. The security protocols on their information system were designed for alien appendages, not human hands. Her fingers moved quickly over the screen. "Let's see what they're hiding about other Deathworld species," she whispered to herself. The information flowed past her eyes. Scientific reports, historical documents, and classified records. She searched for terms related to Deathworld and high-gravity evolution. A soft knock at her door made her jump. Olivia quickly switched the screen to a basic language tutorial program. "Come in," she called. Maria entered, looking tired but alert. "Find anything interesting?" Olivia hesitated, then nodded. "They're hiding something big. I found references to at least 16 other Deathworld species discovered over the past 10,000 years. But the information stops there. No current data about any of them." "What happened to them?" Maria asked. "I don't know yet. But I found the name of someone who might tell us, a scientist named Trelmock. He's written several papers questioning Confederation policy toward Deathworld species." "Can we trust him?" "We'll have to find out," Olivia said grimly. The next morning, humans were given a tour of the station's scientific facilities. Kevin was fascinated by the medical technology, while Steve carefully noted defensive systems and access points. Their tour guide, a multi-limbed being named Paxlor, showed them laboratories where scientists from various species worked together. "The Confederation shares all knowledge among member worlds," Paxlor explained proudly. "Scientific advancement benefits everyone." "What about species that aren't members?" Steve asked casually. "Do you share technology with them too?" Paxlor's skin flushed a dark purple. "That depends on many factors. The Confederation Council evaluates each case carefully." Maria noticed a blue-skinned alien watching them from a nearby laboratory. Unlike the others, he seemed more curious than afraid. "Who is that?" she asked quietly. Paxlor glanced over. "That is Trelmock, one of our xenobiologists. He studies life forms from non-Confederation worlds." Maria exchanged a quick look with Olivia. This was the scientist they needed to speak with. "I'd love to learn more about his research," Maria said. "Is it possible to arrange a meeting?" Paxlor seemed uncomfortable. "Trelmock has some unconventional views, but I will see what can be arranged." While the others continued the tour, Maria was permitted to speak with Trelmock in his laboratory. The alien scientist moved gracefully despite the obvious discomfort of the Earth-normal gravity in the human section. "I have followed your case with great interest," Trelmock said, his translator converting his musical language to English. Humans are remarkable even by Deathworld standards. We're just normal where we come from, Maria replied. Nothing special. Trelmock made a sound like gentle bells, perhaps laughter. That is precisely what makes you special. Your normal is extraordinary to us. He gestured to his equipment. I study adaptations to extreme environments. Your species represents an evolutionary marvel. Maria decided to be direct. We've learned that other Deathworld species have been discovered before. What happened to them? Trelmock's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. He moved to a door and sealed it shut, then deactivated something on his wrist device. Recording systems, he explained. What I'm about to tell you isn't secret exactly, but it isn't widely discussed. He took a breath. Yes, there have been other Deathworld species. Some were primitive, still developing technology. Others had reached spaceflight capability like yours. And, Maria prompted when he paused, the Confederation has historically considered Deathworld species to be problematic. Your physical capabilities, your rapid development, your resource needs all are seen as potential threats to galactic stability. So what did they do? Trelmock's skin darkened. Nothing barbaric, but measures were taken. Some worlds were quarantined, no contact allowed. Others were guided towards stable population levels. Technological development was sometimes subtly inhibited. They were contained, Maria said flatly. For the greater good, the Council would say. Trelmock looked away. I have argued against these policies for years. Diversity strengthens us all. But the Vorkathians, like Security Chief Grextal, have great influence. They see themselves as the Confederation's protectors. Are we in danger? Maria asked directly. I cannot say for certain, but I know the Council is debating Earth status even now. Some advocate for full membership. Others want quarantine or worse. Maria stood. I need to tell the others. Be careful, Trelmock warned. Not everyone on this station wishes you well. Senior Protector Grextal stood before a small council of Vorkathian officers in a secure chamber. The humans represent a clear threat to Confederation security, he stated firmly. Their physical capabilities alone make them dangerous. Their resource consumption and population growth rates are alarming. But they have shown no hostility, objected one officer. Because they are still assessing us, Grextal countered. I propose a final test, to demonstrate conclusively that these Deathworlders cannot be safely integrated into civilized space. He activated a holographic display showing the human quarters. Tomorrow, I will arrange an accidental environmental shift in their living area. Gravity will increase to what they call 1.3 Earth normal. Oxygen levels will rise to their planet's standard. Temperature will fluctuate as it does on their world. These conditions are lethal to most species, another officer noted. Exactly. When the humans not only survive but thrive in these conditions, it will prove my point. They are simply too dangerous to accept into the Confederation. What Grextal didn't mention was his secondary plan, to sabotage the humans' return vessel. If the Council wouldn't act, he would ensure Earth remained isolated from galactic society. That evening, the human team gathered in Kevin's room to share what they had learned. Trelmock confirmed it, Maria explained. The Confederation has a history of containing Deathworld species. They're debating whether to do the same to Earth. Steve paced the room. I knew it. All these demonstrations. All this scientific interest. They're assessing whether we're a threat. We need to convince them we're not dangerous, Kevin argued. But that's not entirely true, is it? Olivia pointed out. By their standards, we are dangerous. We can survive conditions that would kill them. We're stronger, faster, and more durable. Being physically capable doesn't make us a threat, Maria countered. It's about how we use those capabilities. Their discussion was interrupted when the room's environmental system suddenly activated. Displays flashed warnings as the air pressure shifted. What's happening? Maria asked, looking concerned. Kevin checked the readouts. Gravity increasing, oxygen levels rising, temperature fluctuating. He looked up with a surprised expression. They're making this place more like Earth. Steve's eyes narrowed. This is a test. They want to see how we react to conditions they consider extreme. Then let's show them, Olivia said with determination. If they're watching, let's give them a show of friendly Deathworlders. The humans began moving around the room normally, even as the gravity increased. They chatted and laughed as the temperature rose and fell. To any watching aliens, it would appear as if the lethal conditions had no effect on them at all. His monitoring station, Grextal, watched with growing concern. Not only were the humans unaffected, they seemed to be enjoying the Earth-like conditions. His demonstration was providing exactly the evidence he needed, but it might not be enough. To convince the Council, more drastic measures would be necessary. The humans had just finished breakfast when the emergency alarms began blaring throughout the station. Red lights flashed, and urgent announcements in multiple alien languages echoed through the corridors. "What's happening?" Steve asked, instantly alert. Olivia listened to the announcements, trying to translate. Something about a systems failure. Main environmental controls are down station-wide. The door to their quarters slid open. Trelmok stood there, his blue skin pale with stress. "You must come quickly, we need your help." "What's wrong?" Kevin asked, grabbing his medical kit. "Catastrophic failure in the central environmental systems," Trelmok explained as they hurried through the corridors. "Temperature and atmospheric regulation is failing across multiple sectors. For humans, these conditions are merely uncomfortable. For most Confederation species, they are lethal." They reached a central operations room where Station Director Lunval was coordinating emergency teams. Dozens of screens showed different sections of the station where aliens were collapsing or fleeing in panic. "What can we do?" Maria asked. Lunval turned to them, desperation clear in his movements. "The backup systems are failing too. We have thousands trapped in sections where conditions are rapidly becoming fatal for them. Our rescue teams cannot function in these environments." "But we can," Kevin realized. "The conditions are just like Earth." "Exactly," Trelmok said. "You are Deathworlders. What kills us is normal for you." Steve stepped forward. "Tell us where to go and what to do." The humans split up to cover more ground. Kevin established a medical triage center, treating aliens suffering from what humans would consider mild temperature changes and slightly elevated oxygen levels. In Section 12, Steve found a group of small, fragile aliens trapped behind a sealed door. The corridor leading to them had temperatures fluctuating by 20 degrees, deadly for the aliens but merely annoying for him. "Stay back from the door," he called through the communication system. He forced the manual override and carried the aliens to safety one by one. Each weighed less than a human child despite being fully grown. They trembled in his arms, both from fear of the conditions and fear of being handled by a Deathworlder. "You're safe now," he told each one, setting them down gently in the protected area. In the engineering section, Olivia worked with alien technicians to restore communications. Her human vocal range allowed her to speak without translation devices, which had failed in many sections. "The primary relay needs to be reset," an engineer named Pelmora explained. "But the chamber is at 35 degrees Celsius with 23% oxygen. None of us could survive more than minutes." Olivia smiled. "That's like a warm spring day on Earth. Show me what to do." She entered the chamber and followed Pelmora's instructions to reset the massive system. The alien engineers watched in awe as she worked comfortably in conditions they considered lethal. Maria coordinated with different species whose communication barriers were hampering the rescue efforts. Her anthropological training helped her understand the cultural differences affecting how each species responded to the crisis. "The Velcon need to be addressed by group leaders only," she explained to a frustrated emergency coordinator. "And the Zinthi won't evacuate without their cultural artifacts. We need to respect these needs even in an emergency." As the station struggled to maintain life support, Maria noticed something odd. The emergency had disabled many of the security systems. Information terminals were showing unrestricted data. On one screen, she spotted a series of commands issued just before the failure. They originated from a terminal assigned to Grextal. This wasn't an accident, she realized. She quickly captured the evidence with a small camera she carried. In a section near the station's core, Steve discovered Grexatal himself, trapped in a corridor where the temperature had dropped to near freezing. For the Vorkathian, the cold was paralyzing. Steve stood over the alien security chief, understanding dawning on his face. "You caused this, didn't you? To prove how dangerous we bow?" Our Grextal could barely move, but his eyes showed his hatred. "Deathworlders. Always. Destroy. Balance." Steve could have left him there. Part of him wanted to. Instead, he lifted the alien carefully. "You're wrong about us," Steve said as he carried Grextal toward safety. "Being strong doesn't make us destroyers. It lets us protect others." As Steve brought Grexatal to the medical center, Kevin was working frantically to save alien lives. His human hands were steady in conditions that made alien medical staff unable to function. "Another one?" Kevin asked when he saw Steve with Grextal. "He needs help like the others," Steve said simply. The emergency lasted 36 hours. The humans worked without rest in conditions that the Confederation species considered hellish. They carried injured aliens to safety, repaired critical systems, and coordinated rescue efforts across the station. When the crisis finally ended, the humans gathered in the main medical center. They were tired, but satisfied. "Did everyone make it?" Olivia asked. Kevin nodded. "No fatalities. Some injuries, but nothing permanent. I found evidence that Grexatal sabotaged the environmental systems," Maria said quietly. "He wanted to prove we were dangerous by creating conditions only we could survive." "His plan backfired," Steve noted. "We showed that our Deathworld adaptations make us better rescuers, not better killers." Commander Vextora entered the medical center, accompanied by several members of the Confederation Council who had been on the station for a special session. They approached the humans with a new respect in their posture. "We have observed your actions during this crisis," the lead council member said. "You used your physical capabilities not for domination, but for preservation of life." Vexatora stepped forward. "The council has been debating Earth status for days. This incident has resolved many doubts. Your species may be physically formidable, but you have demonstrated that strength can serve compassion." "What about Grexatal?" Steve asked. "He endangered thousands of lives. He will face justice," the council member assured them. "His fear led him to betray our most sacred principles." Trelmock joined the conversation. "I have proposed a new classification for Earth, not as a death world, but as a crucible world, one that forges strength through adversity." "The Council has approved this classification," Vexatora announced, "and with it, a new approach to Earth. We offer formal membership in the Galactic Confederation with special recognition of your unique capabilities." 1 month later, Jack Miller sat in the same Alaska listening station where he had first detected the alien signal. On his screen, he watched the live transmission from Proxima Station, where human and alien representatives were signing the historic treaty. Susan Ward entered with 2 cups of coffee. "Still can't believe it, can you?" Jack shook his head. "From detecting a signal to joining a galactic community, all because we evolved on a world that should have killed us." On the screen, Kevin, Maria, Steve, and Olivia stood alongside Commander Vextora and Trelmock. The humans looked remarkably ordinary next to the exotic alien forms, yet it was their very ordinariness, their ability to thrive in conditions that the galaxy considered extreme, that had proven their worth. "They were afraid of us because we're strong," Susan said thoughtfully. "But they learned that strength isn't just for fighting," Jack nodded. "The universe is harsh. Maybe it needs species like us, creatures forged in adversity who can help others survive." As the treaty was signed, a new era began. Humanity would step into the stars not as conquerors or refugees, but as protectors, the Deathworlders who used their strength to preserve life rather than take it. On Proxima Station, a group of young aliens watched in fascination as Olivia performed the terrifying and superhuman feat of drinking a cup of hot coffee while eating a cinnamon roll. Proof that not all monsters from Deathworlds were to be feared.